We're right in the middle of final exams, and so some of the players, what we're trying to do right now is fit practice around their schedule. And we've just been practicing at different times. Really haven't started to focus yet on Arkansas. So what we're doing is just going this basically a fundamentals and technique practice where we're getting some really good work in. And so final exams in on the 17th, and starting on the 18th, we'll start our preparation for Arkansas, and we'll practice all the way through till the game. And it's been really great, just our overall attitude right now. And some of them are coming in tired because they've been staying up studying all night. But this is a great game for us, good rival game for us. And you can always think about the history and how long this game been played. And the memorable moments go back to 1969, and that game has always had a lasting impression on everyone's mind. But just excited about it. Had the press conference last week, had a chance to sit down and talk with Brett. We go way back when he was at his Wisconsin days. We've recruited against one another, but just that program and just see what he's done. Actually had them, I think they kind of took the same road we took, where they had to go there at the end and win some important games, where they shut out LSU, and then they beat Ole Miss to get a bowl eligible. Kind of what we did. But the thing we didn't do is end up on a good note against TCU, and just looking forward to this game and looking forward to this matchup.
Raise your hand if you have a question. On the left, Chuck.
Charlie, I know all games are important. Given the way that the TCU game went and this being the final game, how important is it for momentum into the offseason?
This is a very important game, Chuck, and you're right. You look at didn't end it right with the TCU, and now you have a really good opponent in Arkansas, but also just to give us a good jump start and going into the all season and get our attitude right. And, we have a lot of work, but just want to finish up the right way this season.
On your right, Chip.
And Charlie, what's the message to Tyrone? Obviously, didn't have the game he wanted against TCU. What are you telling him to kind of get in the right mindset?
Well, we have a lot of work here, Chip. Going to get a lot of practices in, and it's still he's got to get better. He's no different than anyone else on the team. It's very visible with his position, but it's a lot of positions they need to get better. But we have a chance to just really get this chance to really work with him. But he understands that. Not the young man. He's not very pleased with his effort. You know that, but he knowing he can play a lot better what he did.
On your left side.
Charlie, how do you split up the reps in practice? I know winning the games is important, but the extra practices moving forward is equally as big. But how do you split up the reps between the seniors who are leaving and then the other guys who are coming back?
Well, it's not so much I split it up what our personnel said, but what we're going to do is I just break it down like, I have like two just normal down situations, first and second down. Then I come back with 2 third downs, red zone. But what I try to do is just, we get in where with each period there's a number of plays that we're going to run. So let's get those plays ran. Now, if they're not ran the right way, then we're going to come back in and bingo them and run them again. But what we do is we get the plays ran, then we try to get out. So I try to just count up the number of plays where if it's, where I start off, it's always going to be a kicking period. It's always going to be an individual period, and then I'm going to go, like 6 with the ones on offense, 6 with the ones on defense, then get out of that period and go to the next period. But I just try to keep it down and making sure that we get the number of plays that we need to get, especially when we start our focus on Arkansas, knowing that, that we have some days there. It's not a week where we had to get ready to go, where we just try to just give it all to them at one time. But we know we have some days where we can really work with it and just take our time and making sure that we take our time and get the number of reps that we need to get done.
Middle, Jane.
How long did it take you to get over that TCU loss? Because I know that you wanted it for your seniors.
Well, Jane, it took me a while. I don't even know if I'm still over that. But, the thing about it, that loss, it hurt so bad. It was for the seniors. Then you were at home. And we had been playing well. And then you get to that game, and you had the stage was set. You had a big stage. And you would have thought that we would have come out and performed better than what we performed. But it was just a hard one to swallow. And it really was because, I think back, and like I said, I wanted to do it so bad for the seniors and what they put into it and how well we was playing down the stretch, but it just was a performance that we can't be pleased with at all.
You left, Jeff?
Charlie, I know you mentioned working practice around final schedule, but have you figured out how you'll do it with Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, when you'll wrap it up here, and then when you'll head down to Houston for the rest of the prep?
What we're going to do, Jeff, is we're going to practice all the way up, and I think we're going to travel on Christmas Eve, and because I don't want to be on the road on Christmas Day, so I think we're going to travel on Christmas Eve. We're going to practice that morning, leave out that afternoon. Everyone has to show up at the hotel at a certain time, and then Christmas Day, I would just want everyone together so we all have a gift, and that way the whole team is together, and we're going to give them something so that we can enjoy Christmas Day, but we're going to practice and then also enjoy Christmas Day.
Middle Roger.
Charlie, you've had success in bowls. It's so unusual because of the big gap between games. What's kind of your philosophy on approaching bowls? And is it a lot of times just maybe the team that wants it more, because we see a lot of upsets, but pretty evenly matched teams, I would think, here.
It is, and then it is about guys, just Roger, that want to. It's about your preparation, but then it comes down to just how bad guys won't go out and practice and how important it is to them. But right now, our attitude is pretty good, because you can always tell, with the first few days whether they really gonna want to go to the bowl game or they just want to go through the motion. But the key thing is it's almost like the first game at the start of the season, the preseason. You have some days there where you have a lot of time, and we just want to make sure that we're just so locked in and so focused. And if you can get players where they get locked in, and now all of a sudden they practice so much and they know this team so well that they can recognize formations, recognize just different adjustments, different personnel grouping, that it becomes automatic for them. And now when they line up to go play, it's just, hey, that's repetition now, let's go get it done.
You're on your left.
Coach, I know you touched on the history of the Arkansas-Texas rivalry. What are your memories of that rivalry growing up, and do you feel like a good performance here will be key to helping you recruit Houston and parts of East Texas?
Well, recruiting, the second part of that is, we've been recruiting, so that's we've locked in and know who we want to recruit. But, that game, I was young at the time, but I grew up in Arkansas, fan, because it's a major university in the state. But, so memorable moments, so memorable games. Like I said, the 69 game was an unbelievable game, but, at that time I was very young. But just being around the state and growing up around it, you just know how big it was and how important it is to so many people.
Middle Anwar.
Coach, going back to recruiting, one day we see something and we say, hey, a guy's committed, then we see some guys decommitted. Can you just give me your assessment as to how recruiting is going for you guys right now?
Well, you look at it, Anwar, and you're right. Sometimes when guys make early commitments, they're making a reservation, so you just can't. You got to continue to recruit, and then that's going to be our philosophy. You just got to continue to recruit guys. One day they're on the board, one day they're off the board. But still, though, we know our needs and what we have to get done, and we got to continue to go. When you replace one, if you lose one, there's always someone else to replace someone.
Is it going the way you would hope it to go at this moment?
Well, it is, and you look at it, so it's still some key guys still left out there, and I think that what has happened here, we've been so where it's been, guys have already committed and we already have our full alignment, but that's not happening right now because some of the key players are still sitting there and they haven't made up their mind what they want to do yet.
On your left, Mike.
Charlie, on that same note, Vance Bedford mentioned, I think last month, that one thing he noticed in recruiting is that the University of Texas means more to out-of-state kids than it does in-state. Have you noticed that, and do you have an explanation as to why you're getting more, I guess, juice out-of-state than you are here?
No, you're getting juice both places, and I think that you got to look at it, Mike. You still got there's some key players in this state that hasn't made a commitment yet where they want to go to school. So we're going to recruit those players, and out of state, a lot of times it's best because of where guys have recruited in those areas. They know those coaches, and they have a relationship. So some of those players, when you say University of Texas, which it should, it means a lot, which should mean a lot to a lot of people.
Brian.
Mike, Charlie, when you came on board, you had mentioned that kids here, you were surprised at how kids here committed early in the process and all that. Did you feel like that you guys were maybe a little further behind in the 2015 class than you thought you would be, that so many kids jumped on early offers and there wasn't that many players left?
No, I mean, it's still, if you look at it, just looking at the board, you still have about 10 to 12 players still left that are really good football players. So it's not like they're just going to, they're still waiting to see. But that's what is happening now. Guys aren't making early commitments.
Back middle, Alex.
Coach, with the depth at linebacker coming into next year, have you guys ever thought of maybe moving or giving a shot to Nashawn Hughes to maybe play at the will? And also, this is a little bit more of a harebrained idea, but have you ever thought of putting Deontay Foreman at Fox if you were to move Nashawn Hughes to will? It seems like he's got good feet, and if you put him in position to make big plays on defense, he could be like a Marcus Smith.
Well, it's you know, well, the thing about it, Alex, is that Fox position, he's not fit for the Fox position. Deontay Foreman, he's not fit for that position, and even with Nashawn, you just got to make sure that when a guy is. The thing when you do with Nashawn, we move him around so much, but the linebacker position is a little different for him. Even though he's a Fox, there's certain reads and certain things he have to do.
Back, Bob.
Coach, you mentioned that TCU game. You thought you would have come out and played better. The BYU game, they weren't ready like you thought they'd be. With all the dismissals, all the suspensions, everything that's gone on, was there more culture change than maybe you expected you'd have to put into this program?
But I don't know so much it was a culture change, because I think that, following Coach Brown and the job he did here was unbelievable, and I know that and will always respect that. But it's just that sometimes, that's what any time you walk into a program, same thing when I walked into a Louisville, it's going to be certain guys that think they're going to do things their way, and either it doesn't matter who's sitting in that chair as a head coach, you just got to make decisions on how you want your program and how you want to run your program, and once they understand that it's certain things that you're just not going to deal with, then you got to make a change. But even with the suspension dismissals, those players are gone. But still, we lined up with a football team where we could have played a lot better, and it had nothing to do with the guys who we didn't have. I always say this: you don't win with the ones you're going to win with the ones you have, not with the ones you don't have. And so with a lot of those players not being, with us playing with what we had, we were good enough. We just didn't play well. We didn't play well at the right time.
Back, Joaquin.
Coach, when you look at this Arkansas team, like to run the ball, play defense, how similar are they to your own team?
Well, they have, if you look at it, Joaquin, they have two backs that have rushed for 2,000 yards. The quarterback does a good job of just managing the game. He throws the ball, but he throws it well enough where he does get completions, and they are able to move the chains. And defensively, they come with so much pressure. The ends are unbelievable outside where, they're able to force the pocket, push the pocket, and when you do try to sit back, they can get the pressure on you. So it's going to be a good matchup for us. Offensively, we're going to have to move the ball, can't get behind on first and second down, and defensively it's going to be about us being able to stop the run.
You right, Chip?
Charlie, and going back through your 11 recruiting class at Louisville, it was a marquee group for you. That class had Gerard Holloman in it, who just got 14 interceptions. I mean, do you look at this class you're putting together right now in 15 as the foundation of your ultimate success here?
Well, it's still, Chip, you still have enough guys here where you look for classes just to build on what you already have. And you think at it, when I look at this class, we'd like to sign anywhere from 5, at least 4 to 5 offensive linemen. We're going to need to get some linebackers because of our linebackers that are leaving out here. The secondary-wise, we're going to need some corners. We have to get some corners in the secondary. Wide receiver, you don't need many because you have enough receivers that are stocked here right now, and then you like to get a running back, and it's the quarterback position is critical for us. So it's all about you're finding what you have right now and making sure that you go out and recruit it and fulfill the needs and fulfill the positions that you need to go recruit at.
Did you see that coming from Holloman, the 14 picks this year?
No, I didn't, because when we had Holloman, he played behind Pryor, who was a first rounder. So, it happens. Some guys step up, and he's been in the program, 3 years now, so he was able to step up.
Back left, Chris.
When people look at Arkansas, they see the 6-6 record. took a late push to get there. I think only 2 SEC wins. How much better are they, in your opinion, than what their record shows?
You know, you look at it, Chris. It's close game against Alabama, close game against A&M, and they've been in games. It's just that they didn't finish because if you look at the Alabama score, it's 14-13. You know, A&M I think beat them by 7, but even with Mississippi State, I think when they were #1 in the country, it was a 17-10 game. But it's been a team that haven't turned the football over. That they just have been in those close games, and then they go blow out LSU, and then they go blow out Ole Miss. But it's a team that it's a team it's a good football team. I think it's a really good football team. But at the right time, they didn't win those close games.
Middle, Jane.
Now that you've had a little bit of a break following the TCU game, have you had a chance to reflect on this first year, and how would you describe it?
How would I describe his first year? Is up and down, Jane. Could have played a lot better than what we played. I said it to our coaching staff. We lose 6 games. We'll never be the standard here. We could have played a lot better at times than what we did. I think about those close games we were in. Just think about Arkansas. You look at the UCLA game. You look at the Oklahoma game. But even that, the thing was frustrating and disappointing is that when you get into the game like BYU, it's high score, then boom, you just, you give up so many points. TCU, you give up so many points. Even at K-State, the score sitting there 6-0, it's sitting there 13-0, then you end up losing, I think, 23-0. But we could have played a lot better than what we played. I said it to our team and our coaching staff. I said that, this is not an indication of this program, and we have to get a lot better.
Your left side.
Listening to you break down the Arkansas offense, it sounds like that's kind of what you wanted here. Do you look at them with the 2 1,000-yard rushers and the ball control, and is that what you kind of envisioned when you stepped in?
Well, you can get that said. You can see you can win with it. It's just got to be that when you get the 2,000-yard rushes, that now you're a physical football team and you're running the ball. It is all about ball control. And then at the end of the day, you still have to play great defense, which they're doing right now. They're playing good defense at the right time.
Your left, Chuck.
Charlie, you were talking about this year and some of the close games where we got into shootouts, weren't able to match, but also in terms of just the consistency as a coach, was that the most frustrating thing, wondering which team was going to show up, and how much do you put on that, having the young quarterback, having the young offensive line?
Well, Chuck, it's a combination of things, not only the young quarterback and the young offensive line. I always say to our defense, if we go play well, they don't score either. And the thing we can't do is, when you talk about just consistency, is you just got to play the whole game and go finish the game. And it doesn't matter. And then at times, it's you sit there and you're in the games and you feel like you're in the games tight, 6-0 BYU at a half. Now let's go play the second half, and we didn't show up to go play the second half, and that happened a lot, which it can happen, but it's all about just finishing, and we didn't do a great job of finishing.
The middle, Alex.
Coach, speaking of the young offensive line, for one, do you have an update on Desmond Harrison? And for two, are you guys comfortable entirely at this point with Cameron Hughes? I know that I think Trey Flowers and some of these edge threats, Arkansas has pretty good players. Have you seen anything out of him in practice maybe that we haven't seen in the game that makes you guys more comfortable with him?
Well, Flowers, I know this is a really good defensive end, and he's done well, played well. But you know what happens is one guy's not going to go dominate a game on defense. The thing about it, not only Hughes but everyone else up front, we just got to go block him. So it's not just you place it on one guy's shoulder. And there's with Desmond Harrison's no update. So.
Your left, Max.
Charlie, you spent some time in living rooms here the past couple of weeks. When you kind of lay out your vision for recruits and their families about where the program's going, winning championships, how do you kind of explain that to them?
Well, it's all about, us recruiting and building it with recruiting. We're telling them we have really good players now, but it's all about the university too. You have a great academic institution. Just athletically, we're going to get everything we need. So it's just all about us just making sure that we get the right fit in this program. It's all about character, young men who's wanting to change their lives. And the thing about it, I'm not looking for players who want to be mediocre. We don't need to be mediocre. That's not who we are. That's not the type of players. We need to recruit players that really love football and they want to do something special with their life.
The middle, Brian.
Charlie, I'm sure it's very easy to sell y'all's defensive vision to recruits. But when you're going up against teams that are averaging 40 points a game, I mean, they're pitching, hey, we play basketball on grass. How are you combating that, and how are you pitching your offense, the offensive recruits?
Well, you look at it offensively, and the thing you're going to be able to do, Brian, if you score, you have the right personnel, you get the ball in the right playmaker's hand, you can score 40 points a game, and it doesn't matter if it's basketball on grass, if it's ball control offense, whatever it may be, you can get those things accomplished. But it's still, though, at the end of the day, you got to be able to go play defense. And just offensively, you're always looking for playmakers, and you get the ball in the playmaker's hands, and you look at it, you think about us offensively, you started off the season with a quarter, with Ash, and then he goes down, and then we go with Tyrone, who plays well at times. It was just a consistency thing, but you're going to see that from him. I would say this, and I know a lot of us think like this. After that spring game, would you ever thought he'd be your starting quarterback?
No.
All right, there. Good.
Your left, your right, Chip.
Charlie, do you expect Desmond Harrison and Sherrod Evans to be on the team next year as red shirts? And how, what kind of impact do you think those two can make? And also your redshirt offensive linemen, did you get anything out of Anderson, Rodriguez, and CUNY this year?
Well, we're going to go through spring practice, and what we're going to do, Chip, is, we have the guys on our team right now, so they're going to go through just like everyone else, and we'll just see. It's all about the whole team getting better. It's just not, just individual players. We got to develop this whole football team.
Middle Amwar.
Coach, you guys made the decision to, you wanted to redshirt Gerard Hurd. Can you give us maybe just a glimpse of how he's looked behind the scenes, how he's been looking in practice, and is he a guy that is progressing enough where he might be in the mix to compete next year?
Well, when we get to spring ball and war, they all going to compete because now it's spring practice, and you have that chance to where it's a number of reps, and guys have an opportunity to go get better. And he will. The thing about Gerard is it's when you come and you have to face it each and every day, and it moves so fast for you sometimes. You just got to slow him down, and it's going to happen for him. It's a development stage, and he's developed because Watt do a great job. He's done a great job recruiting, coaching quarterbacks, and so we just continue to coach him.
Middle Jane.
After that TCU game, Tyrone Swoops was about as down as a kid could be after a loss. What did your conversation with him sound like after that game, and where is he mentally heading into the bowl game?
Well, he's had a lot of time now, Jane. And the thing about players, when you look at games, for them, it's just that one day and it's over with for them. I mean, you can walk in the meeting room the next day and win or lose, sometimes you can't really tell. So with them, it goes by them fast. But for us, it kind of lingers. But he'll be fine. The thing about it, he just needs to play well this next one. And you can't let one beat you twice. He just got to move on and just get better, and he'll get better, and it'll happen for him.
What did you say to him specifically, though?
It's a lot of conversation. Don't know exactly what I said, but I just know this, that I said you're a quarterback and you have to play a lot better than what you played.
Your left said.
Outside of not winning as many games as you had hoped over these first 12, you have any regrets?
Any regrets about the season or how we played? The only thing I ever regret said is I just think we could have played a lot better. And I would have loved to have seen us play a lot better. And sometimes it just eats at you, and it should, because I just think that we're a better football team than a 6-6 team. And we just, the consistency, just finishing, just playing hard all the time. It just a pride factor. And I just don't think that sometimes we showed that.
The back, Bob.
Coach, besides Nate Boyer, none of these guys were born when this was a big rivalry. Do you say anything to them about how much Arkansas really does hate Texas and vice versa?
Yeah, I don't, Bob. I think that they read enough about it, but we really haven't got into it. I talk about it once we start into the preparation for Arkansas, and just take them back through history and how big this game has been and how important it is. But it really haven't said anything yet, just because of finals. But I think that they've heard enough about it and read enough, and now I think that it's once we get into it, then I speak about it more.
time for two last ones, starting with Jeff.
Charlie, you got any injury updates on Shipley, Blewett, Darius James, and is there anybody that you know right now will not play in the bowl game?
No, Ship was out running around. I think we're going to let him run around today some more and see if he can get out there and catch some passes, get him into some individual things. Blewett, we're going to still evaluate him. I think toward the end of this week we'll have more of an update on him. And just thinking about anyone else, Darius James, he had surgery. And so Darius is out. He had surgery last week, so he's out.
Middle, Roger, last question.
Charlie, when it comes to recruiting, what's the balance of recruiting the kid, recruiting the parents? Because it seems like they might be listening for different things about what's best for their child or for them as a player.
Well, it is, and that's a great question, Roger, because, you know, with the parents, they see 10 years from now, whereas with the young man, he only sees tomorrow. And that's what you got to sell them on, because a lot of them, what they, you know, when you're talking to the player, the individual player, only thing he's concerned about, you know, what number do I get? Can I go start? Or, you know, how much playing time I'm going to get? Whereas the parent sees how important that degree is, and 10 years from now, what's his future going to be like? So when you're selling them, it's all about, you know, when you sat down, you had to have that conversation, and you had to have it, and, you know, you got to speak to the young man and speak to the parent, and they both have to understand just the direction of the program. Plus, you know, coming into this program, how big it is, and how you can be set for life if you go handle your business the right way.